Hey, how's it going? We're sticking to finance and we're going to be covering savings and investing. Savings and investing are two key financial strategies that can help individuals and households achieve their financial goals and secure their financial future. At least that should be a goal for everyone, right? To be more, perhaps more independent, if anything, and organizing finances. While they share common objectives, they are distinct concepts with different purposes and strategies. Let's take a look at both. What are savings and what are investing? Saving purpose. Saving primarily about setting aside money for short-term financial goals and emergencies. It provides safety net and financial security. Just because you should have some savings, right? So perhaps, depending, there are so many books on this subject. Perhaps having money just sitting there, money itself would lose value. Something like covered in so many different videos, right? Hard cash is losing its value even if you're gonna be holding it in the bank. And you can do the math yourself to understand it a little bit better, right? So if you were to put money or hold your money in the bank or under your mattress, whatever case might be, you can take a look at the history and how fast and how how fast your money would lose value, or how long it will take you within your bank with interest rates of whole bank to double your money. So you can do the math yourself. Liquidity savings are typically kept in easily accessible and low risk accounts like savings accounts, money market accounts, or certificates of deposit accounts. I don't know if the certificates of deposit how popular they are in UK. I need to do a little bit more research. I have read a lot about it within US, but not necessarily within UK. Perhaps worth taking a look how popular those. But either way, liquidity that would be a if you money have tied up in perhaps inventory. If you just recently bought a lot of inventory, if you had a lot of made a lot of investments into property, perhaps in real estate, and you just bought equipment, wherever that money tied in, compared to perhaps having in liquid in the cash readily available for you to take on if needed. Risk savings are low risk because they are protected by insurance up to the point, right? So depending on uh, most of the banks are even with the United States and UK protecting you, but up to the point, right? Most of the time, if you were to hold not perhaps around 1 year worth of savings or perhaps 6 months worth of savings, but if you will be holding a lot of money, not necessarily all of that money will be protected by, but depending again by region where you are located. FDIC in the United States, depending on the region, yeah, and provide guaranteed return, albeit usually at a lower interest rate. Again, so you need to understand what perhaps be a better vehicle where you can park your money at, if you are very good at saving, right? If you're good at earning, bringing money in, perhaps, and making money, and perhaps saving money, whatever case might be, you know what you're doing with the money. Perhaps you will understand that holding a lot of money in liquid, not necessarily that's optimal, right? Or you might be interested in parking your money somewhere else. Return, the return on investment is usually in the form of interest, which is typically modest and may not keep pace with inflation over the long term. Again, just because of how fast the money is losing its value, right? So it used to be where the banks had to keep 100% of how much money they landing. Now they don't need to keep anything, right? Zero. So, yeah. I'm covering all this information in the book that I have published for people who are there and would like to learn more, understand a little bit more about finances. Covering all these topics about new laws coming into effect, and particularly in the US, but usually just how much impact some of the markets up there might have. Similar laws might come in affect other regions as well. So whatever region you might be based in, just to understand a little bit more about what's happening with the different markets, as well as some of the changes coming into effect, and what tricky people of their lawmakers, how they are looking to keeping on top as a world currency and what's happening there with those markets. You can find all this information as well as how to perhaps do research, run your business, and perhaps begin investing is something that you are interested in. That in doing in the future, perhaps I would highly recommend taking a look at this book. You can find it in the description below, as well as top retailers has it. Time horizon. Savings are short term or near term funds used for converting expenses, unexpected costs, or achieving specific goals with a few years the time horizon, right? So either way, so when it comes to finances and some of the ways, but either way, I cannot share or recommend anything, right? I'm not your financial advisor, so I don't know your circumstances, what will work best for you. If anything, I'm trying to bring your attention to perhaps increasing your knowledge when it comes to finances. And if anything, everyone would ask you to buy something, or they would ask you perhaps some of your time. If anything, I will ask you perhaps taking a look at your finances, your personal circumstances, and taking a look at how you can begin saving. Now, let's take a look at investing. Purpose: investing involves putting money into asset with the expectation to generate a profit or growing your wealth over long term. Compared to perhaps 6 months, it might require more of your time, or to perhaps to cover the money that you have invested, as well as making a profit. So once you reach break-even point, from there perhaps another year or so, but it depends on what kind of asset you would like to invest or park your money in. Over a long term, it typically used to achieve long-term financial goals like retirement, buying a home, or building wealth. Some of the people you were thinking perhaps not 2 years, not 5 years, but 10, 20, or perhaps building a legacy, so perhaps a lifetime, right? So some of the purchasing decisions that people are making up there is legacy decisions, right? Liquidity. Investments are often less liquid compared to savings, as they involve assets like stocks, bonds, real estate, and other financial instruments. Selling these assets may take time. If anything, a quick takeaway coming back to perhaps purpose and perhaps some of the assets, some of the manufacturing equipment, right? So to be able to manufacture things, it's not that expensive. It's not that expensive. You can go on whatever search engine you want to go, and you can find some of the manufacturing equipment. It could be up to £3,000, right? And you can manufacture things. It could be anything, something silly. It could be manufacturing of soap, manufacturing of nails. You just press the button and the nails keep coming out, right? You would just need to upkeep, perhaps some input costs, so that would be electricity, perhaps raw materials, and you would have a lot of output that you can potentially sell with much asset that you invest your money. So if you were, let's break it down, right? If any takeaways, it would be more interesting for myself even to present this topic, but either way. So if you need to invest into nail machine, right? Nail machine would cost perhaps £1,000, perhaps less than that, right? By the way, I don't know who is using nails, but either way, let's stick with nails, right? So there are other machines as well. So £1,000 that you invest into machine, how much nails you need to sell to cover the break-even point, to cover all the costs as well as to make the profit, to double your money, right? So that's an asset that you invest your money in. Put it in some, I don't know, some, I'm not recommending to do that, especially if you're just starting out, you're not entirely sure if you what you're doing. You need to break all the numbers. You perhaps need to build some experience as well as perhaps as having your customers who you're gonna sell nails to. You need to understand full process from beginning to the end, and from that point you can understand what would be required of you to actually invest in this asset or similar assets, and how those assets can generate you profit, right? Well, that's how potentially things can work, as well as supply and demand and what's happening, and a lot of factors to take into consideration. Risk. Investing carries more risk compared to savings, as the value of investment can fluctuate significantly due to market conditions. There is no guaranteed return and you can lose money. So once you understand risk before investing into perhaps soap making machine and selling soap on Amazon, whatever case, I don't know, candles, but some people might be interested in buying those. There's a risk involved, right? So you need to understand the risk, and when you are looking to secure finance for purchasing all the equipment, everything, you need to understand the risk. Or even for if it's something that you're interested in, perhaps manufacturing equipment. Once you manufacture those, whatever case might be, you need to be, to say the least, interested in those subjects, what you're going to be doing, right? Because you need to understand the industry, you need to do a market research. If soap is not something that you're interested in, perhaps that's not the perfect idea of venturing into this kind of area. But either way, but what I'm saying is impossible, and sometimes entry point is very cheap. That's what I'm saying. The return on investment can vary widely, but over time, they tend to offer potential for higher returns, so it can outpace inflation and help your money grow. So either way, if we are sticking perhaps with soap making machine, if you just for sake of exercise, right? If you would go online and do your own research and understand how much it would cost to purchase a machine, as well as perhaps all necessary raw materials to manufacture soap, you can break the process into smaller steps, understand how much investment it will be required, as well as what would be risk involved, as well as how much soap you need to sell to break even, and perhaps from there double your money from that point. It's just something as an exercise, and then you can replace soap with a different perhaps machine if it's something that you're interested in, and you can have a business. Well, if it's not for everyone, it's definitely not for everyone, but that would be just an example. I'm using soap because I remember the book that I read about it. Fight Club. It's just fun way to think about things. I thought more other people might be interested in that, but that's the one I'm using. So it's not as that's not the best example either way. Time horizon. Investing is typically for a long term. That is essential to have a diversified portfolio that aligns with your financial goals and risk tolerance. If anything, myself, I would highly recommend for people out there to tackle big issues, big problems, try to solve big problems, and then you potentially can have more gains, I guess. Not only financial gains, but you would need to stretch, understand a lot of things. But if you're looking to start somewhere and you not necessarily have your own experience, you like to build from your own personal experience, and you not necessarily have access to large finances that you are interested in risking in, perhaps starting with a low entry point vehicles out there. There are plenty of those as well. Just take your time, do your research, and I would definitely suggest people to try, see what you can find up there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next one.